Hi guys. Hello, hello, hello. I'm Leyna, and I don't often use this YouTube channel, and I was like, let me start using it. So here I am. So I don't know if you guys know, but I am on this TV show called House on Fire, and the show Preteens is about me in the ballroom scene. And a lot of people have been messaging me on Instagram, asking me like, how did I get into ballroom scene? What is it like being, a ballroom legend? And I was like, how can I talk to people? Like, do I go on live on Instagram, or do I just bring them to my YouTube channel and get that YouTube vibes? So here I am on my YouTube channel. And I guess my first video vlog is this. So um, I just wanted to just be spontaneous, and here I am. So how did I get into the ballroom scene? That is the title of this video. And um, yeah, let's get into it. So a little backstory about me. My name is Leyna Bloom. I work in fashion and film. I've been modeling for like almost professionally for 10 years. I've been acting professionally since 2018. And yeah, I make a lot of history. I am the first trans woman to ever be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I'm the first openly trans woman of color to be in Vogue magazine since like the 70s. And I am the first trans woman to ever have a leading film as a lead character in a film at the Cannes Film Festival, which was back in 2019 for the 72nd Cannes Film Festival. So yes, I've been in ballroom since I was like 15 years old. Yes, I was like a sophomore in high school when I first found out about ballroom. So back then, I went to this school called Nicholas High School. It's on the north side of Chicago, where I'm from. And I was going to this school. It was a public school, and I was a dancer at the time. I have like a long history of being a dancer, doing ballet, jazz, hip hop, tap dance, ballroom dance, folk dance, and I was on the cheerleading squad. I was actually the cheerleading coach slash captain. I was the girl that taught all the girls like all their moves, and we came up with routines. And I was always at the basketball games. And so yeah, I was non a traditional like person of color of queer experience in a public school on a cheerleading squad. Obviously, I was presenting since passing, so people knew my tea, but I was a very talented dancer. I obviously looked very, you know, beautiful to look at, as they would say. And I dressed really nice, and I got in where I fit in, and I was friends with all the baddies in the school, and the baddies loved me, and I loved them, and we all got along because we all, when you a bad bitch and you meet another bad bitch, there's a language that we only speak, that only bad bitches can speak. And the bad bitches was like, you should just like teach us how to do cheerleading, and um, and we'll be, you can be the captain and blah 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 blah. And um, my history of a dancer and my history of being a cheerleader really helped me in this school, let's say. So while I was, at the games and hanging out with the basketball players and hanging out with the basketball players' girlfriends who were the cheerleaders, there was this other queer person in school who now is trans to this day. Her name was Malia. And she was like, how are you so cool with like the straight guys, or why are you so cool with like the straight girls? And I was like, I show up to work, I show up to school, I show up and I just be myself. And I'm not trying to like have with anybody. I'm not trying to like get my freak on. I'm not trying to like be messy. I'm not trying to be cool. I'm just gonna be me. And if they fuck with me, they fuck with me. And you know, so we had like built some type of accord. We built some type of conversation, and this person would see me in school, walking down the hallways, hanging out with the girls at cheerleading class. Mind you, this person was also a dancer. So there was a dancing connection between me and Malia. And she was like, have you heard of ballroom? And I was like, ballroom dancing? Yeah, I know about ballroom dancing, tango, cha-cha-cha, merengue. I know all about that. And she was like, no, ballroom. And I was like, yes, I know about ballroom. And she's like, no, like ballroom culture for queer people. And I was like, no, what is that? She was like, you don't know about ballroom? Like, I've never heard of it. It's like, how are you a dancer and you don't know about ballroom? Mind you, I was very like, I was queer and cis living in the straight world. I was living in the heterosexual world. I wasn't queer and cis living in the gay world at the time. I had no gay friends. I There was not that many gay people because we were all living in the South, and not many people were out the closet. I mean, especially not at high school. You didn't want to be like, bullied and stuff like that. And so I didn't know any gay people, especially any Black queer people at the time. And I was a sophomore in high school. So this was essentially like my first queer friend, or, first person that I met that was kind of sort of like me, but also this person was not out the closet. This person was at the time presenting as a boy, and they were like, people were talking about, oh, are they gay? Are they not gay? But anyways, this person showed up. Mind you, their category in ballroom scene used to be realness. And yeah, so it was like, it was basically, I was living every single day as a cis woman in high school. People knew my tea, but no one talked about it because, one, my dad was a cop, and two, I was just like a bad bitch. I showed up, my hair was always done, my outfit was always done, my shoes were always brand new, my makeup was always beat. I was in class, the teachers loved me. So I wasn't like a nuisance, as you would say. I was a nuisance in other ways, but I wasn't a nuisance in the sense of like I was trying to like carry the tea, and I wasn't trying to like, yeah, sis, that wasn't me. I was just like, have my Vogue magazines. I go to class. I get my good grades. I go to cheerleading practice after school. We train. We get ready for the game. Simple, clean, easy, safe. And back to Malia. So Malia was like this Asian girl who at the time was going to school as like a butch queen that was kind of like not out the closet, but still was very much like, I could tell that it was like, girl, you my sister. You know what I mean? And she was like, don't tell nobody my tea. I don't want people to know. She also got along with everybody because she was from the same neighborhood as everyone that went to the school. I actually wasn't from the same neighborhood. I was coming from the south side of Chicago, and I moved to the north side, and that's what the school was. So she knew all these people since they were like babies. They all went to school together. And um, we started like chatting, we started talking. It was like, hello, goodbye, what's up, how you doing? And we also played it really, really cool because we didn't want people like gravitating to us or trying to like clock our tea or clock our friendship or you know um clock our vibe. Like it was just kind of like hush hush. And we would meet up after school. We would chat it up. We would chop it up. And I remember she kept telling me about this ballroom stuff. She was like, "You should get into ballroom." I'm like, I'm really into my dancing right now. Like, I don't want any distractions. Like, I'm really into the cheerleading, and like, I don't want any distractions. And she was like, "No, like, this is like, you would really like this because it's people like us." I was like, "What do you mean people like us?" There's like people like you, people like me. This has been, this has been like going on since like decades. And I was like, well, I haven't heard of it. And like, I don't know if my dad would want me to be part of some underground, competitive, like, you know, um, community. At the time, my dad was like very highly in like, he was a Chicago PD. He was very strict. He was like, go to school, get good grades, come home, have extracurricular activity, and I need to know where you're at all times. So my dad was not like, ballrooms are at nighttime, Kiki balls are at nighttime. Most of the people that were in the ballroom scene were on the south side, on the west side of Chicago. A lot of people was not on the north side. And if they were, I didn't know them. So I was very reserved at first about getting into the ballroom scene, and not more so because of me, more so because of like what my dad would think. And my dad was like, he just was not having it. He knew out people were trying to like hurt me. He knew that I potentially would get bullied. He knew since I was a child that like men were attracted to me, and he was just like, I don't want you to get hurt. So like if I'm not there and I can't be there to support you and like protect you, then I don't want you affiliated with that stuff. So I was like, you need to show me like some like depiction of like what ballroom is about and like what is ballroom. So she sent me, she was like, you need to watch this movie called Paris is Burning. I was like, Paris is burning. I love Paris. Like, why is it burning? And she was like, it's a documentary about the ballroom scene, and you can definitely see like what it's about. So I saw it, I found it, and I was like, I kind of like for like a week or two, I was kind of like more so like, this is really cool. It took me so a while to like really adjust to it because the processing of it was like, I can't believe that this is really like around. Like ballroom is really like here and exists, and it is like for all of us, and it is like literally for, you know, like for the whole, like it's for people like us. And I was just really taken back by the whole experience and the experience of like people like myself, and even the commentary about their lifestyles. Like when I first learned about Octavia, when I learned about, Venus, when I learned about Carmen, when I learned about Dorian, like, when I learned about Angie, I was really kind of like, oh my God, like they're just like me. Like that's who I am. That's how I identify. Like, and like they're living freely in society and really like taking up, um, hey, Flora. Love, like I was like, oh my God, like this is, how did I not know about this? Like, how did I not know that this existed? And not only how did I not know that this existed, but also I was more so kind of like, how can I see more of this? Like, this is when the little protective little girl that was going to school every single day, going to cheerleading class, was like, it is my time to rebel. It is my time to like start to like get this shit moving. You know what I mean? Like get this. Like I always had dreams and aspirations of being like, a famous star and like a dancer, a famous ballerina, going to college, being on a cheerleading squad. And those dreams were so rich and they were so real. But I was like, you can make money. You're competing. I'm the best at what I do, and I get to compete with other people that are the best at what they do. Like, and they're just like me. Like, I'm not competing against another cis woman or another heterosexual man or a cis man. I'm competing with like other trans women that are also beautiful, that are also gorgeous, that are also like, super, super like, different. So after watching Paris and Burning, I was like, I was essentially hooked. Mind you, I love like films, 90s films, 80s films. Those are the best years, documentaries. I love that stuff. I super nerd out on that shit. So the era of that scene of Ballroom, which was considered the yellow era. I came in around the end of the yellow era. If you don't know about the different eras that are color coded, Google different eras of ballroom and it will come up. There's different colors based on the era that you're in. And no, sorry. I came out on the green era. In the green era, which was around 2007, which is my era. The era that I came into the ballroom scene was the green era. Money green, baby. Yes. So back to this story. So where was I at? Oh yes. So I was completely hooked. Like I was hooked, and I was like, okay, what category to walk? And she was like, you can walk runners, you can walk face. And I was like, okay, so how do I do that? Like I'm ready to train now. So I would like hang out with her after school. She would always make sure like nobody was around and no one saw us. And she was, mind you, I was the type of girl that was out and about, moving in the streets, getting my life, looking dumb from head to toe. And she was not out the closet yet. So we had to essentially meet places where like we had to make sure her father wasn't home because her father didn't want to see a trans girl like me in her house. And we would go places where there was no one that knew us, and we would train would essentially train. And mind you, this is back in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, where queer people and Black and brown bodies really, if you saw yourself out in public spaces, you would get fucking beat up. And this was in Chicago. You would get beat up, you would get raped, you would get sexualized, you would get ostracized, you would literally, it was literally living in Chicago at that time. It was like, what's the word I can best describe it? It was constantly moving in survival, like tactically, like survival tacticals, like being survival with these tactical experiences to like not be hurt. So I was living in these survival tactical experiences while moving and um, trying to just move around in public spaces. And for her at the time, she was just like, she didn't want anyone to know that she was friends with me. She didn't want anyone to know that we were cool. She didn't want people to, she didn't want people in her neighborhood to know that we hung out. Because if she hung out with me, that means that she was who she was because I was who I was. And you put two together and it was just kind of like, so, yeah. So it was really like a really, really weird situation. And I spent a lot of time in the library because my dad trusted that that would be a good place for me to go to after school. And he was like, okay, when you get out of school, go to the library, do your homework. So we would go to the Harold Washington Library in downtown Chicago on State Street. And we go into the washrooms. We would go on one of the floors where there's, if you ever been to the Harold Washington Library, it's a huge building. Each floor has a different like category of like history, science, math, all that stuff. So we would go to the floor where it was basically deserted, but there would still have washrooms. So we go into the washroom. We would lock the door. There will be 2 mirrors in there, and she would teach me how to sell face in that washroom for like literally a whole hour or two. We would be in there selling face. She would teach me all the elements of face. She would be teaching me how to come out, how to walk, and this is what you got to do, and this is how you're gonna come to the panel. Like, this is the judges panel. This is the runway. This is how you got to come up. This is how you come up the runway. This is how you walk the runway. This is how you stop in a runway. This is how you sell a running. You get to the judges panel. This is how you got to do this. This is how you got to do that. And I was just like, bitch, what? But I was with the shits. I was with learning. In my mind, I was like, bitch, it's money involved. Like, here I am, a young girl, like, need money, need my nails done, need my hair done, need new shoes, need new jewelry. You know how it is when you're a young teenager. You want to be the baddest bitch in the room. You want to look good. You want to dress good. So I was thinking about that money. Like, we're competing. I get to go compete. Mind you, with cheerleading and with dancing, I would do competitions and I knew all about that stuff. So I knew the competitive circuit of like the entertainment spaces of, Chicago. And this was just like an underground scene that I was just like, ooh, I can make some real money. I can make some good money. I could be seen by people that don't even know who I am. And I could really just blow up. So, excuse me. So, we would be practicing and I would like, okay, when am I ready? She was like, I'll let you know when you're ready. You ain't ready yet. So I would just keep practicing. We would go to the library. I would go to her house. We would go to the park. We would find places where she can feel safe to teach me, where she can feel safe, where no one's going to harm her. Because she was so like, she was basically a boy that was trying to be straight. And she was trying to teach me how to sell vase. And that wasn't her category. Her category was realness. So I look back on those memories and I'm like, bitch, like learning how to sell face in a library. And look where I am right now. Look what I have done. I went from selling face in a fucking library to the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like that to me, that was bigger than what I ever dreamed of. That was bigger than, I wasn't dreaming big at that time because I didn't think that those things were attainable for someone like me, for people like us. So I was immediately like, I was going into this situation with a point of view of like, I'm just going to enjoy being present and I'm going to enjoy this ride. And I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what I'm going to learn, but I am going to become a force of nature in entertainment business, going from dancing to competing to now ballroom to competing. Like I was just a kid that was like, I need to be seen. I need to get out. I need to like do something creative. I need to be around people that understand talent. I need to be around people where I am not just another person. I am literally like, I'm teaching you the shits. I went from teaching girls how to cheer to being the student, someone teaching me how to sell face. That was my lifestyle at the time. That was school, cheerleading, learning, training, getting ready for balls. Mind you, I was like 15 years old. 15 years old with this vision for my life that the universe has said, we're going to introduce you to this person. We're going to introduce you to the school. And mind you, this school that I went to in Chicago, this was not my first pick school. I auditioned to go to the Chicago Academy for the Arts my freshman year in high school. And I didn't get accepted. So I had to go to a public school. So if I never went to that public school, I would never been in Ballroom. I would never been, a coach on the cheerleading squad. I would never been the captain of the cheerleading squad. I would have merely just been, I don't know where I would have been. So the universe say you're not going to go to that Chicago Academy for the Arts, which is a private art school. You're not going to get in your freshman year. You're going to go to public school. You're going to still dance. You're going to still cheer. But now you're going to be introduced to someone by the name of Malia. At the time that was not her name. I'm not going to say her name at the time. And this person is going to introduce you to the ballroom culture. So, shouts out to you, Malia, wherever you at. I haven't seen you in a while. You know why I don't fuck with you no more. But that person introduced me to ballroom. Okay, so she felt I was ready to start getting ready to take the next steps into ballroom. So she started introducing me to ballroom people. The first person she introduced me to was a man by the name of Nakayan Moore. Nakayan Moore was a Black man, grew up on the west side of Chicago. He was 10 years older than me. I think I was like 15. He was like 25. And he was a hairstylist. He was a Black queer hairstylist. He worked in downtown Chicago. He was sophisticated. He dressed nice. He lived on the north side, so I didn't have to go too far. And she was like, I remember the first day I walked into his apartment. I was like, oh, he lives in a really nice place. Like, Black queer people got money. Like, ooh, I live. So I opened the door and I walk in. He was like, oh, so you're the person that this person has been telling me about. I was like, oh, hi. My name is, blah, 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 blah. And he was cutting his hair, getting ready for this ball. Wait. He was getting ready for, I guess, I don't know what he was getting ready for, but he was getting ready. And so Malia brings me into the living room. He gets done shaving and she was like, you're going to go to a Kiki ball tonight, a mini ball. I was like, what? She's like, you're going to your first mini ball tonight. I was like, wait, what? Like, I'm not ready. She's like, no, you're ready. You are ready. So I was nervous as fuck. I'm like talking to the client. I'm talking to Malia. They're like, okay, so what do I do? Like, how should I do this? Like, is it going to be a lot of people there? And I was like, oh, it's just a mini ball. Like, it's not going to be a lot of people, but it's like the who's who of Chicago is going to be there. And we have these like annually, weekly, monthly. And I was like, oh my God, like, we're not going to take you to your first big ball. We're going to take you to a ball where you can just kind of get your feet wet. Kind of just like, see what the vibe is like and see if you like it. And we can see how you are and see how people respond to you. So I was like, I had to call my dad. I was like, oh, I'm spending the night at so-and-so house. Like, they're cool. My dad at the time knew who this person was because he knew I was hanging out with them. He trusted them. They were Asian. My dad wanted me to be around Asian people because I was Asian. So it was cute. It was real, real cute. So I remember we were like driving to the ball, and the ball was like in downtown Chicago, like in the South Loop. And it wasn't like in this really weird ass factory building. Like, it was my first time being there. It was my last time ever being there. And I remember like coming up the stairs and walking into this area, and it was just like all these people, like, it was just people everywhere. And I'm like, who are these people? Like, where are these people at? Mind you, they were going up to people saying hello to them. Mind you, Nakayan, he was already like a full statement in the ballroom scene in Chicago, in the Midwest. The person, Malia, she knew everyone. Like, she's been walking for quite some time. And I didn't know anyone. So I was just like this little baby 15 years old, like being introduced to these grown ass adults. Like everybody was like grown. Like it was teenagers, it was adults, it was like young adults, like it was like seasoned people, people from a certain age. It was all different types of people, and they were all Black. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like, this is real. Like, this is the real deal. And for me, I looked at it from like a big ball point of view, not a little ball point of view. I looked at it like, oh, I've been competing, I've been practicing for this, like it's my time. And mind you, they said that I was just going to go to the ball. I was just going to meet people. It was going to introduce me to people. These motherfuckers was like, you're going to walk tonight. I'm like, walk. I'm not ready. Mind you, my category is face and realness. With realness, you don't really got to do a lot. You just sit there, you look pretty, pick up your phone, play with your lip gloss, and you just keep it moving. Face, I've been practicing like how to sell face and like all these things. And the category that night was not face. There was no face category at that mini ball. So they was like, you gonna walk realness. And I was like, but I haven't practiced realness. They was like, it's fine, just go out there and just be regular. First of all, I come meet one person from the house. I come meet one person that is from the ballroom. See, my first person outside of this person, Malia. Never met anyone else. I meet this person, and then they're like, you're gonna go to a mini ball. Was not expecting that. And then I get to a mini ball. I'm nervous as fuck because I'm meeting people that I'm meeting people for the first time in this community that I've been training for. And now I gotta walk in front of all these people. So I was literally terrified I was terrified. But deep down inside, I was like, I'm about this shit. Let's go. Like at 15 years old, I was like really about that life. I was really about like getting out there and being seen. And like, I knew I was just a bad bitch at 15. Like, I just knew it. Like, I was like, oh, they're going to love me selling face. They're going to love it. Like, I've been practicing. These bitches can't touch me. Like, I was really from that competitive circuit world of like competition and training and taking classes like every single day. And like, I would go and do academics. And then after school, I would go and do training. And then on the weekends, I would be in dance class from like 5 a.m. to like 7 p.m. at night. And then I would do the same thing Sunday from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night. And then I would go back to school on Monday and I would do academics and I would have rehearsal every single day after school. So I was really in that dancing world, like fully, full throttle, ready to go, auditioning for private high schools to get full scholarships. Like, I was about that life. I was really, really ready to like get the shit moving. Like, I wanted to be a backup dancer for Janet Jackson. I wanted to be a backup dancer for J-Lo. I wanted to be a backup dancer for Michael Jackson. Like, my mind at the time was I was going to be a backup dancer on Broadway, or I was going to be a backup dancer for some huge star, for Beyonce, for Destiny Child, and I was going to be a huge dancer. Like, at this moment, I was like, this is nothing. This is a piece of cake. Mind you, I never practiced for realness ever in my life. Why? They was like, okay, go. They're calling realness, go. So the girls that are coming out for this category, this is not the dolls. These were like the church ladies that you would never know that they were, trans or whatever. They were just the regular everyday girls on the block, talking shit, chat, blase, blase, blase. Real as hell though. Would never know. Like, this is, think of your school lunch lady. The girl the bus lady that takes you around the city. The lady that is at the train station that is like working at the train station. The like girls that work, in the buildings when they're doing construction, the only female in the whole building. These were those type of girls, like the everyday, like hardworking, women that are just trying to get from point A to point B. These were those type of girls. And they come out, I see what they're doing. I'm like, these bitches ain't got nothing against me. I've been training for this. Why the hell I started selling face? Selling face for realness. Selling face. I get my tens, mind you, because of course your girl is real as fuck. I get my tens, mind you. One of the judges on the panel, his name is Duty Aphrodite. He was best friends with Nakai and Moore. And soon as they got me my tens, he leaves the panel, comes off the panel, comes to me. He was like, "You should walk face. You should not walk realness." I was like, "That's my category. That's what I thought I was gonna do." Like, here is Duty, who at the time I didn't know who he was, but I knew that he was fucking gorgeous as fuck. My first time being at mini ball, I met this face kid, Duty Aphrodite, and I'm like, he's like, "You should walk face." I was like, "That's my category. That's what I've been training for. That's what I've been practicing." He was like, "Okay, no, like we'll talk after the category is over." So mind you, I get back, I start to battle a church like a fucking. I battle one of these girls, construction working type of girls, these fucking lunch lady type of girls. Of course I lose. Of course I lose. I'm 15 years old, don't know what I'm doing, already made a fool of myself, walking phase. And then I meet these girls. I'm battling them. Of course they beat me. I lost. So my first mini ball ever, I got my tens, but I got sat by my homegirl. So that was my first time being at a mini ball. And I told myself from that day on, I would never ever lose again. I would never lose a ball again. Not because I did not know what the fuck I was doing. I will go into the situation. I will be more prepared. I will ask questions. I will make sure I'm looking good. I will make sure that I will give my best. And yeah, I met Judy. I found out that Judy and Nakai were best friends. And I was like, oh my God, can you mentor me? You walk face, I walk face. Can you teach me da 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 da? So I built an instant connection with Judy. God bless you. Judy died a few years ago. I love you so much. I love you, Auntie. You, my heart. We always had such good moments. And I hope you are in heaven right now, smiling on me. I love you so much. So back to this story. After it was all done, obviously I've chopped it up with everybody. My first experience at a mini ball was fun. It was actually very short. The way I remember it, it's like I arrived, they told me the tea, I get ready to walk, I get set, I meet Judy, and I think the ball was over at the time. And I think it was the last category of the night. And I chopped it up the next day, and I got the feedback. Everybody thinks that you're beautiful. Everybody's gagging. The city of Chicago is like, they heard about you, and like they want to see you at the next ball. So here I am getting ready for my next ball, the big ball. I forgot what ball that was. Anyways, it was in Chicago, and mind you, they were like teaching me, like they were sending me videos. I would be watching tapes. I would go to Nakayan's house. I would be learning about all the icons. And I already knew about Carmen. I already knew about Octavia. But at the time, they wasn't really walking. So I was learning about people like Temperance and Shawnice and, those type of girls. And they was telling me about all the new girls that came out the same year that I'm coming out, which was like Nadia and Lola, and the Maya Scott came out a year before me. And, I was really, really like testing the competition, seeing like what the vibe is, seeing like who's out there, seeing what their vibe is, seeing how they compete, seeing how they self face. And they were getting ready, they were getting me ready for this ball. And I remember getting ready because I didn't have money, you know what I mean? And they was like, I don't think they ever got a female figure together, especially a new female figure. So I remember us going to like thrift stores and going to Belmont, Boys Town, and going through things. And I remember we found a black dress with black heels, and I was like, I want to go simple and clean. So he did my hair, did my makeup, and that night, it was a ball. And then I came out, I walked, and I won. And from then I went to Atlanta and I walked. I remember I walked against Michelet in Atlanta. I forgot what ball that was, but it was a ball in Atlanta. I think it was 2007. Again, this was the green era, and Michelet was like the top bitch at the time, walking face. And I walked against her. She beat me. But I remember when I met Salvin, Miss Deborah, MC Deborah, she was there, and she looked at me and she was like, even though I lost, she was like, but bitch, But bitch, but bitch, but bitch, the face. I knew at that time I made a statement in the ballroom scene. In that moment, I had red finger waves, I had a black dress, I had a hat on, and I had a reveal. I took the hat off, showed the finger waves, and then I just saw a face. It's on YouTube somewhere. You gotta find it. But yeah, I remember that night. That was also the night that I met Andre Exotic. And when he was in the house of Miyake Mugler, I think that was like his first time walking a big ball also. I'm not really 100% sure. But I remember I met him that night and I was just like, you're breathtaking. I saw you walk. You are just absolutely gorgeous. I also met Lola that night. She saw me. She walked over and she was like, "You're gorgeous. Let's exchange numbers." We exchanged numbers, and yeah, it just like it literally, it literally just. I started walking balls. I started traveling walking balls. At the time, I was in the house of Christian Lacroix, House of Christian Lacroix. Mishi, Dawn was the house father and mother. Season also my auntie. I love her. Um, they was helping me get ready for the balls, and I remember they were based in Baltimore, so we would go to Baltimore and walk. I went to DC and walked. I went to Philly and walked. I went to Atlanta and walked. I went to New York City and walked. And this is all when I was in the house of Lacroix. And then a few years later, years passed. I was walking. I was undefeated. I was of the year. I walked. Milisha beat me. I beat her. There was like this battle going back and forth between me and her, walking against each other. And face was my category. I had walked realness a few times. I walked realness at the Latex Ball in New York City. I won. I was of the year. Um, face of the year. Butch Queen face of the year. Butch Queen up and drag face of the year gag. Correction. Um, And then I think the House of LaCroix was closing down. I had, also I had met, so Nikayan had 3 people in his life who was like his closest friends in the whole world. And Nikayan ended up becoming my gay father at some point. And we kept spending a lot of time together because like, we both spoke the same language. We both knew how to code switch. We both knew how to like chop it up, but we also knew how to go out in the white world and talk white and speak white and talk that language to get that money, to get that language going and flowing so we can have opportunity. So me and him hung out a lot. We connected on fashion, we connected on beauty, we connected on, hair. And at the time I was dancing, he loved the fact I was a dancer, and it gave him like a sense of like happiness that, young queer youth is not out here just having fucking and not having sex and not doing all this dumb shit. I was actually out here dancing with the Joffrey Ballet and doing summer intensive programs and, on a cheerleading squad. And we just spoke the same language. And he ended up becoming my gay father. And he ended up kind of like, in a sense, taking care of me and sponsoring me. And he ended up like being a refuge for me when me and my father was going through it as I was a teenager. And my father didn't know how to like raise a person like me. So Nakayan stepped in and he did it, and my dad was very like, this is where my relationship with my father started to kind of drift apart because I was slowly getting older, and I slowly started like, getting back into the competitive circuit in a different competitive world. And this is also when I started moving away from cheerleading and moving away from dancing and more so getting more involved into like the ballroom circuit. And it was truly a powerful moment for me as a young 15, 16, 17-year-old teenager coming to my own in the ballroom scene, surrounded by older people like Duty, like Nikayan. And Nikayan introduced me to my auntie, who is now my mentor to this day, Thaddeus Lede. I remember meeting Thaddeus when he was coming home from Paris, and we instantly connected on fashion, on beauty. And, Thaddeus was like a runway coach, and he worked in fashion, and he understood like fashion language and like fashion like atelier and like spring and summer, fall and winter collections. And he was teaching me about this stuff. And I was just being mentored by all these amazing people. And he introduced me also to Lavelle Balenciaga, who was one of like my aunties. So I had three aunties and one gay father. Judy, Thaddeus, Lavelle, and my father, Nikayan. And I also had Malia. And yeah, they kind of like took me under their wing and start showing me the world and teaching me about this ballroom circuit of ballroom culture. After like 5 years, the House of LaCroix closed down, and Thaddeus Lede was at the time Thaddeus Allure, and I kept learning about all the big houses in the scene, and the biggest house at the scene was like Mugler, Allure, Mizrahi, and it was like Milan, Ebony, Khan. They were really, really big houses also, but I wanted to be in a house with the beauties, with the fashions, with the face kids, with the runways, with the best dress, with the fashion categories, and Christian Lacroix was a fashion house. Allure was a fashion house. So I left Christian Lacroix and I went to the House of Allure. And I remember meeting Al and meeting Temperance and meeting all the Allures and building relationships with them. And I was with them for 1 year, and I was remember getting ready for a ball in Atlanta, and um, at this time, balls were just so ghetto sometimes, and they would close down the ball. You would get ready, they would close it down. People would get into fights, and I was just like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, I just spent mad bread. My gay father, Nikai Moore, just spent mad bread. We both been preparing. I've been training. I've been getting ready for this category, and y'all just completely like shut it down. So I just was like, I need to take a little break from ballroom, and I also wanted to get back into, I wanted to get back into like me. I wanted to get back into who I am. And I was I was ready to start like I was ready to really I was going back and forth to New York City for competitions, and I was just ready to start getting into um I was ready to get into modeling at the time. And I was just like, I want to get into modeling. Like, I keep coming to New York City. This is where all the models are at. Like, this is where I want to be. I was going into castings in Chicago, and I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be in New York City. Like, I want to be in the city where I can be a new person, where I can have a whole new identity. In Chicago, people knew me. I knew Chicago. I knew where to go. I knew what the vibes was. I wanted to go somewhere where I can be a new person, where I can start over. So I eventually was like getting into the position was like I was like exiting out of ballroom or shelving ballroom and moving into like the next stage of like my development as an artist. And it was modeling. And Allure ended up closing after a year of me being in the house. And I was like, I'm gonna be a 007. And I guess this is a sign for me to just take a break from ballroom. And I basically, when I said I took a break, and the more that you will get to know me, you will notice how I handle things. When I say I do something and when I say I don't do it, I stand on business. Like when I say I'm done with something, I'm done with it. So I was like, I'm peace out ballroom. It's been amazing. I gave you 5 years of my life. This was fun. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. I need to kind of like change it up a little bit. So I got into really modeling, and I started, you know, ballroom is an undercover ballroom. It's underground. So the rest of the world didn't know about it. And that was an opportunity for me to go out in the world and be someone different. So I got into modeling and I moved to New York City, and I started really, really thriving as a young, ingenue in modeling world. So that story about my modeling career will be for another video for a later date. I want to stay on ballroom. So fast forward 5 years later, 2014, I get a call because modeling has taken me so many places. Ballroom people in the scene that work in the fashion world hear about me. I get a call by the name of this young man, a young stylist by the name of Assad. And me and Assad had worked together on a project previously where he styled a shoot for me. And we had did a really amazing shoot. It turned out amazing. And he was like, you should come back to the ballroom scene. They love you. They love you. I know Malia. We go way back. And you should come back to. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's for me anymore. Like, I loved it, but I just felt like I need to really focus on what I want to do as a career. And in the ballroom scene, I learned about so many people that get stuck. And I just never wanted to be stuck doing the same thing. I never was a person that enjoyed repetitiveness. And I really, really wanted to just change it up a little bit, And I had a magazine cover that came out in 2014, which was on the cover of Candy magazine, the first transversal magazine, and it was an international magazine. I was on the cover, and it was my hugest like modeling job up to date. And the ballroom people started like, oh, this young girl that was in the ballroom scene that used to walk balls in Chicago, in New York City, in Philadelphia, who was of the year, who was in this House of LaCroix, who was House of Allure. She's on the cover of magazine. Like, we've never seen like a person like her on the cover of magazine, along with 13 other girls like myself, other trans girls like myself. And I immediately was like, this could be a really good business move. This could be a really good move for me. Not only taking up space in the modeling world, but also taking up space back into the ballroom circuit. And I want you guys to understand one thing. Ballroom is extracurriculum activity. For me, I looked at ballroom exactly like that. I looked at it like cheerleading. I looked at it like dancing. I looked at it like modeling. This is my job. This is a business. Although ballroom is about community, and the backbone and the matriarch of ballroom is family and community, I just knew that, like, I already had that experience with LaCroix. I already had that experience with a little bit of with Allure. I already had that experience with Thaddeus, with Duty, with Lavelle, with Nikayan, with Malia. I already had that experience. Like, I'm not looking to expand on that experience. I'm looking to like see what happens, show up, compete, have a great time, have fun, and keep it moving. You know what I mean? Get back to modeling, get back to acting, get back to the other dreams and the wants and the needs that I've always wanted. And that's exactly how I saw me coming back to ballroom. And the way that it was presented to me wasn't like, oh, I want you to come to the house and you're going to love you. It was like, hey, there's a ball coming up, the latex ball. We got to look for you. Um, um, you know, you should come and walk and come to the house. This is the house of Miyake Mugler. It's like the best house in the scene. And mind you, at the time, Miyake Mugler was a big house, but ballroom was basically boring at the time. Ballroom goes to these moments when it's really, really high, and then when it gets really, really boring. And at the time, in 2014, 2015, ballroom was in this transitioning stage. It was going from the yellow era to the orange era. And I was coming in at that time in that transitioning period. At the end of the yellow era, I was coming into the ballroom scene. And Mugler at the time, like I said, was one of the top houses in the scene. Zadok was definitely, having his big one, for the face categories, and various other members in the house were having their moments, but they wasn't where they was at right now. And I think the way that Assad brought me into the scene was like, we need someone to refresh us, or to bring life back into us, or to bring something new and different to ballroom scene. Can you rebirth us? He never said those exact words, but based off the commentary that we was having and the communication that we was having together, I was looking like, oh, y'all need like a star to come and like put y'all back on the map. So we start chopping it up, start talking, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. He's like, come on, you should do it. Oh my God. Like, you need to like promote your magazine, and you need to come back to the ballrooms. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to go through that no more. Did I have a love for ballroom? Yes. But ballroom was in my mind in a certain area. It was in a certain shelf. And when I was ready to come back to it, I came back to it. And when I wasn't, it was still on that shelf. And so he was like, I want to introduce you to Yusuf. He's the house father. I was like, who's Yusuf? I didn't know who Yusuf was. He was like, he's Rihanna's hairstylist. And I was like, oh, I love Rihanna. She's like one of my favorite artists of all time. Like, she's a bad bitch. She's the siren. She is that girl. Her fashion is amazing. Her team is amazing. She's with Rock Nation. She's connected to Jay-Z. She's connected to Beyonce. These are my favorite people. I didn't know who Yusuf Williams was at the time. I did not know that he was legend. I didn't know who he was. essentially. I just knew at the time that Assad presented him to me as, this is Rihanna's hairstylist, the house father of the house of Miyake Mugler. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll meet him. I was living at the time in Midtown. And I was like, I have a casting on Fifth Avenue, right next to Armani on Fifth. They have a restaurant. They set it up, they called, they made an appointment, and they got us a reservation at the Armani restaurant on Fifth Avenue. And I was like, oh, this is fab. This is chic. Set it up. I'm super close by. I'll walk right there. So I'm leaving a casting. I'm like dressed in all black. Giuseppe Zanotti's on the hills, cute black dress, got my portfolio in my hand. I'm showing up to the Armani store. I'm like, where's the restaurant? They say, take the elevator. I go up. They're there. I see Yusuf. I see Assad. And I'm like, hi, guys. What's up? What's the vibe? They greet me with love and vibes and good energy. And we sat down, we have a cocktail, and they basically, for me, in my mind, this is how business decisions are made. You find a really nice place, you sit down, you talk, and you have a vibe. And this is the energy. And it wasn't like I was at their house and was chopping it up. And I was a bunch of kids walking around and it was cute. No, this was a very established environment. This was in a very lucrative, if you know the Armani store on Fifth Avenue, the restaurant, you know how chic that place is. So this is what I'm used to. This is a world I'm into. I'm on my high from my Candy magazine cover. I'm on my high from Walking Fashion Week. I'm on my high from working with these top photographers, working as a model back in 2014. And I'm like, okay, so what's the deal? What's the proposition on the table? And they was like, we want you to walk this ball. We want you to come to the house of Miyake Mugler. And I was like, okay, so I left Allure. I thought the house was completely shut down. Mind you, the house was not shut down. Allure was coming to make a hiatus. They was in a hiatus and it was coming back. And they offered me the overall mother position of the house of Allure. And I was like, oh, I went from being like a regular member in a house, and they want to offer me the mother position. Not because I'm competitive in the ballroom scene, not because I have that. It's because I'm a star outside of the ballroom scene. And they wanted to have that star in their house. That's how I got into the house. That's how I was perceived. That's how I was introduced back into the ballroom scene of like, you're a star in the modeling world. We know about you. Now the ballroom scene needs to see how you have evolved, how you have bloomed, how you have blossomed into this flower. And I was like, okay, well, Allure is offering me a mother position, overall mother position. And what can you offer me? And they was like, okay, well, that's amazing. Shout out to Allure. Like, if you want to go to that house, it's a lot going on. It's not that many members. There's more members over here. You're a fab girl. You need to be the fab bitches. Like, I'm Rihanna's hairstylist. I know everyone. I have access to everyone. I saw I was a top stylist at the time. He knows everyone. He had access to all the showrooms. I was like, okay, well, I need looks for red carpets. I need to be around these people. I looked at this as anybody would look at it. If you if you signing with fucking elite models or IMG models, you will be looking at the situation as like, what can you offer me? What can you do for me? How can we make this a business relationship and turn this into something different? Did I know I was going to connect with them? Did I know that we was going to vibe and end up being closest family ever? No, I didn't. I walked into the situation presented to me as how it was presented to me, as in like they have a proposition for me. Mind you, typically how they do these house meetings is you go to an induction meeting. You sit down with a bunch of judges, you pioneers of the house, legends of the house, and you all vote on letting this person in the house. And they see what your energy is giving and how you perform and how you would compete. That was not this scenario. This was Fifth Avenue Armani store restaurant. I was coming from a casting. Yusuf and Assad was there, and we were having a business conversation. That is how I was introduced to the Miyake Mugler community and to the ballroom house and back into ballroom. My first thing was, I want to be overall mother. Allure's offered me overall mother position. I want to be overall mother. They was like, no, it's not happening. You're not going to be overall mother. You can work hard to be there. You can work hard to get there, but that's not the cards we're dealing right now. And I was like, okay, so what can you offer me? They was like, we can offer you mother of New York City. And I was like, okay, I'm in New York City. Like, I guess that's a title. I don't know really what the job description is to be the mother of New York City. Mind you, the mothers that I've met at the time, Allure had no mother. Christian Lacroix had Dawn. Dawn really was just the doll of the house. They got her ready, and then she came out and she sat, and then she went back home. Like I in my mind, that's what a mother position was just the face of the house, and you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, and that is what you do. You just be the face girl, and that's what my category was, face. So I was just like, let me think about it. I'll let you guys know. So I sat, I thought about it. Mind you, Assad kept hitting me up like, girl, what are you going to do? What is this decision? We got this look. He was sending me photos, mood boards. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fab. I love this outfit. Blah, 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 blah. This is the category. This is what it said springing. I was like, ooh, like there's going to be cameras. There's going to be, there's going to be vibes. There's going to be energy. Like I'm going to be fucking getting my hair done by fucking Rihanna's fucking hairstylist. Like it's going to be fucking legit as fuck. Like, what the fuck? This is the opportunity of a lifetime. What am I going to do? Why not come back to Ballroom? I just came out of closet on the cover of Candy Magazine as a fucking trans woman. The Ballroom scene knows who the fuck I am. Now they need to see me in person. So I hit him up and I'm like, yes, I will come to the house of Miyake Mugler as a chapter mother of New York City. But I am doing this to be overall mother at some point. That is my goal coming to this house. That is why I'm agreeing to come to Miyake Mugler, is to be the overall mother of this house. That's it. That's what we agreed on. They said that we were going to work on it and it was going to happen. So I just for a moment, I want us to take it in. Like, when someone offers you something that you don't want and you take it, you're not going to give 100%. I wanted to be overall mother. I wanted that position. That's what I was qualified. I was overqualified for that position, and I didn't get it. If I would have been overall mother, the trajectory of my ballroom life and my ballroom career could have went completely different. But since they gave me a little ass fucking chapter mother position, I took it and I was like, okay, this is not a lot of work. I don't have to do a lot of work. I want to do the work as the overall mother. I want to be there and be present. I want to have this opportunity. I want to be part of this huge moment of this house. But since it's just a chapter position and I don't know a lot about chapter fucking positions, I'll take it and I'm going to get what I fucking get. And I'm going to be I'm going to be her. I'm going to be the girl that they are fucking searching and I'm going to be that bitch. That's what they wanted. I was a young kid that was fucking thriving in the modeling world, and now I was about to thrive in a whole ballroom scene that I said goodbye to 5 years ago. So, period. So, so basically, I remember going to Yusuf's house, and he was doing my hair, and we was talking, chatting up. I'm like, oh, I actually really like you. Like, I love how real you are. Mind you, Yusuf is a Leo. My biological father is a Leo. My gay father is an Aries. My older brother is an Aries. So I'm used to the fire energy. Assad, a Leo. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to this fire energy. So I'm like, okay, you're a boss ass motherfucker. I live for boss ass motherfuckers. So let's chop it up. Let's be vibes. So we chop it up. And I'm like loving his energy. I'm loving his home. I loving the energy he has in his home. I love how he sees me. The whole business meeting stuff, that shit is gone. We're now like building a relationship. We're now building a connection, and they're getting me ready for this damn ball. It's a latex ball, 2015. So I saw the look. I had a fitting. Fitting went amazing. The vibe was amazing, and they're getting ready for the ball. I remember they got a hotel for me that night to get ready. We went to the hotel. Theo did my makeup. Yusuf did my hair. My outfit was ready. I didn't have to get ready for anything. No shoes, no dress, no makeup, no hair. They took care of everything. They pulled out the motherfucking ropes like I was fucking Riri. And they was like, all you got to do is just literally put all this shit on and go out there and sell face. And that's what the fuck I did. That is what the fuck I did. Bitch, I put on that motherfucking Vine ass Poison Ivy / fucking outfit, Mother Earth, Eve from Adam and Eve outfit. I put on that motherfucking outfit. I got my hair done. I got my makeup done. And bitch, I walked out on that fucking stage at the latex ball and I motherfucking cleaned house. grand prize. 2 months later, I went to Atlanta. They got me together, grand prize. Again. Not only did I get grand prize, not only did I win, but I rebirthed the house of Miyake Mugler. I rebirthed the ballroom scene in that moment. I rebirthed the category of face, of femme queen face. I was now the next bitch in line to take it. I was giving an homage to Ajane, to Tene, to Tracy Africa, to Octavia Isaron, to Carmen Extravaganza, to Evie Pendavis, to all the girls that I looked up to. I was in homage to them. And everywhere I went, they said, you remind me of the girls of back in the day. You remind me how they sell it back in the day. They didn't do all that extra selling and doing all this and that. No, they wasn't doing that shit. I wasn't doing this shit that the girls was doing in the green era. I was doing supermodel shit. And these bitches ate it the fuck up, like the fuck they were supposed to do. And you know what? It was a beautiful moment. So I'm in a house for like, what, 2-3 years. Nobody's reaching out to me. Nobody's hitting me up. Nobody's asking me about anything. Mind you, I was also modeling. I was doing fashion stuff. I was traveling to Paris, traveling to Milan, traveling all over the States, doing modeling jobs. So I'm not really at every meeting, you know, and when I am at the meetings or when I am on a phone call, no one listens to me. No one talks to me. No one hears me out. No one asks me about what my vibe is and what's the tea and like what's that tea look like. And I was just basically a fucking another member with a title of chapter mother of New York City. So, you know, things started getting really weird between some of the members in the house. A lot of the new members that they were bringing to the house were weird, were eerie, was giving too much. And I just kind of was like, look, this is y'all life. This is not my life. This is extra curriculum activity. I'm going to go and do my fashion, my castings, my photo shoots, and y'all can sit here and like play with the dust on the ground. That's how they were treating me, and that's how I saw them. Simple as that. Like, if ballroom is all you have to live for, we are not going to have anything in common. Simple, very easy. So, things got really weird, you know, at some points. My relationship with Yusuf got really weird because we start building a relationship. And when you build relationships, you have good moments, you have high moments. And my relationship with Assad got really, really weird because they were pushing me out as this Olympic gold medalist, femme queen face girl to beat. And I loved it. But at the same time, I was just like, you know, ballroom was still fucking chaotic. It was still drama. It was still getting ready for balls. They would cancel the ball. I would get ready. I would fly out. And one thing I love about ballroom, but what I hate about ballroom, is they will build your ass up to make you the motherfucking star, but they will also fucking take you the fuck down when they're tired of you. And that's one thing that I told myself I would never get too involved in ballroom because y'all going to love me every time I come out. And I never wanted to be that girl that got built up to be brought back down. So that's how I looked at ballroom from that point of view. But yeah, I eventually, you know, competed against more balls and I left the house at some point. And that is actually for another video. So yeah, I come back, you know, I come back to ballroom. And the era that I come back into is the purple era. So I went from the green era, 2007. I came back, I left after 5 years, came back at the end of the yellow era, the beginning of the orange era. And then I left for 5 years. And then I'm now back at the purple era, which is the current era of ballroom. So that is a sum of like my ballroom history and like, you know, how I started ballroom, where ballroom headed. That's kind of like a long or quick, whatever. That's just like, that's my story. Short or long. I just summed it up. Yeah, that's my ballroom history. That's how I got into ballroom. That's where I'm at right now in ballroom. I'm going to do another video on why I left the house of Miyaki Mugler. And now we have a TV show called House on Fire. And my storyline is coming back to the house. So that is also the reason why I chose to now tell my story, is because there's a platform right now for me to tell my story. And I always wait for the right opportunities, because I'm not trying to be famous. I'm trying to be respected. I'm trying to be memorable. I want to make history. And Ballroom is always going to be a place where I love and support, and things I do for Ballroom is amazing. And the projects that I work on, they love me because I come from the ballroom scene. But I just want you guys to understand that, like, you know, Ballroom has been a beautiful part of my life, but it's not my life. It's not who I am. I look at it from a business point of view. I look at it from a extra curriculum activity point of view, and I look at it from the goodness of it, and I also look at it from the bad of it. Because anything that you have in society that people flock to, there's going to be good and there's going to be bad, and I know where I find my balance with it all. And a lot of people haven't really found that balance, and sorry for you, but this is how it works for me. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I tried to just keep it truly organic. I didn't want to do all these extra like chops ups and intros and outros and add this and add that. I wanted a fucking video from start to finish. And I decided to use the streaming aspect of the video, and it will just be up on my YouTube channel. You guys can check it out later whenever you want to. But yeah, this is how I like to have my conversation. I don't need a whole audience. I'm talking to the video. The video is going to go out there in the world, and let's continue this conversation. And I want to continue speaking my truth. And there's some exciting conversations that I'm going to be having on this YouTube channel in the coming weeks and months. And I'm ready to now start. I'm ready to now start telling my story. I'm ready to start letting you guys into my life, and it's on my terms. And it's the way that I want it to be done, and the only way that it could be done. And yeah, so I hope you like this video. If you like it, you can you can subscribe, you can share, you can do what the fuck you want. I don't give a shit, but I'm still gonna be her. I'm still gonna be me, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. And look out for my next video, which is why I left the house of Miyaki Mugler. So, kisses, love, bye.